everybody, whether you're on the East Coast, West Coast, or around the world. This is Coast to Coast. Got a full house today on this Friday. How's it going, gentlemen?
I'll start it off.
I was going to say, don't all speak at once. Jeez.
How you doing, Philly? It's good to see you, brother.
Yeah, I'll be on in just a second. I'm just getting myself together. I've had a busy. It's been a very busy week this week.
I feel like he just woke up and he's basically saying, "I'm crawling out of bed. Give me about 5 minutes. I'll be on that show."
Right.
I just feel like that. I don't know why. I feel like there's a bed with the blanket kind of going all over the place. Philly stumbling out, trying to find his washcloth. I don't know. I just have the vision.
Washcloth.
Yeah, don't you got a washcloth when you got to wash your face? You don't wash your face when you first wake up in the morning?
I mean, I take a shower, but
yeah, me too.
I don't lay in my bed with a washcloth. That's just kind of a
I don't do that.
Here, let me sponge bath myself. On a stick. I don't know, man. You're painting a weird picture.
I guess I kind of thought you would go to the bathroom and grab your washcloth, but never mind. Forget about it.
Yeah, I go to the bathroom and then just like get in the shower. It's a crazy thing because then like your whole body's clean.
Hey, maybe my routines are different than everybody else's. Leave me alone.
Sounds like it.
Oh man, what a day! What a day, man! What a day! Pags, 3 years, $123 fucking million for TJ Watt, highest paid non-quarterback son of a bitch.
I'm surprised. I was surprised, actually. That was a lot more than I thought he would get from them.
Yeah.
I thought that he was going to wind up getting traded. $41 million a year. These numbers are starting to get outrageous. However, I understand because they're going to start getting higher because everybody's going to have to beat everybody else. So
exactly.
There was a piece of me that wishes that they would have re-signed Carter at that number, but they're getting the extra year out of him before they have to. So, I think Davis this year, Jordan Davis, is going to wind up getting high numbers, but I don't know that he'll be the highest guy of all time. Nah, I don't need it cut yet. It's not too bad. It's still fairly short. But it's like these numbers, like I said, these numbers are going to go. Obviously, you got to imagine that the next one that'll drop is probably Micah Parsons, unless he decides he does not want to sign. And if he decides that he does not want to sign, then I fully suspect that he will become a Philadelphia Eagle next year.
And you got to imagine that surely TJ Watt's contract is going to have a huge, enormous effect on Parsons' contract.
Well, so yes and no. The hard part's going to be the 3 years.
Yes.
Because this is a short amount of time. And to give him that much money, that doesn't give you much wiggle room to play with the cap. So you're stuck having to pay him really for all 3 of those years. You might as well say, I mean, they could get out of it really in 2, and they would wind up still having a heavy duty hit for year 3. But ultimately
I think that's kind of what I was going to say, what you just said. I think this is ultimately a 2-year deal for Watt with Pittsburgh. I don't see him finishing up this contract, so I think it's going to get to the point where they have Rodgers this year as their quarterback. Obviously, they're kind of like, we're going to go as far as he can take us this year. And then next year, they're in the same situation they were in this year where they don't have the quarterback for the future yet.
So this is the only reason I disagree with this. If the guaranteed money wasn't quite as high as it was, I would agree with that. So it's $123 million. 108 is guaranteed.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This is a 3-year contract. Like he's going nowhere for the next 3 years. So even if he falls off hard, they're not going to get rid of him because they almost guaranteed the contract. So, for 3 years, he's a Steeler.
right.
With Philadelphia, though, Pags, would you really want to take on that enormous contract from Parsons and really kind of – I mean, I don't know what your cap situation looks like. Maybe you got a lot of flexibility there. But is that the amount of money you'd want to put into him?
So I don't know. My opinion on that is, I mean, I'd have to kind of see through this year. So
Right.
obviously he can't change this year. We're not getting him this year.
Yep.
So I feel like there's a piece of me that thinks that the Cowboys should play smart here and that they should consider trading him. Like, I don't think that the Cowboys are going to be in it. And I think that by
Right.
week 8, there's going to be a good decision. They'd have to make a smart decision to understand that they are not going to be in it. So I think that they moved the trading deadline to after week 9 now. Is that when that is?
Yeah, I
Right.
believe it is week 10 now.
Yeah. So there's a piece of me that thinks that they could trade him for a rental to a high-level team, like a team that's going to be going for it, and get like a first and 2/3, or a first and a third and a fourth in future years.
Mhm.
But that first, like, if you're going to go after it, if you think that having him could make the difference for your defense,
Yeah.
and get you over the hump to beat either the Eagles, the Bills, or the Chiefs, because that's where that's all going to fall into play. This is they would wind up trading him, and you're going to wind up getting, in the process of that, or maybe that would be one of those escalators. Hey, you're going to give us a second-round pick if you make it to the NFC Championship game or the Super Bowl. It becomes a first.
Mhm.
That's maybe how I would do that, and trade him before you have to bring it to contract, and get the picks, and maybe go crazy instead of going after third round picks. Get like, hey, I want 4 5th-round picks, or 2 4ths and 2 5ths and a 6th and whatever. You know what I mean? Get the extra picks, but you're just getting the 1 first-rounder. You're not trying to get 2 or 3. You're not trying to rape them, but you are trying to win the trade by getting rid of him.
Yeah, I agree with you. Given our cap situation, things like that, and the fact, like you said, where we are as a team, I would be okay with getting rid of Parsons. I really 100% would, but I would definitely want a first and a second. I don't want no fucking third, fourth. I want a first and a second.
Well, I
think that's comparable. I think that's comp to him.
But you're saying a first and a second. The problem with that is that nobody's going to give up a first and a second.
That's how they look
But
at
what they would give up, they'd give up a first-round pick, because you're figuring that first round, if everything works the way they want it to, that would be pick number 32. That's what they're going for. That's somebody who you're trading to. And then after that, in a couple of, in following years, you want to just acquire picks. So, because you're not going to get the first and second. I know that you want it.
Yeah.
I know that you want it, but you're not going to get it.
For if it was any other normal guy, I would say, okay, a first, third, whatever. But this guy could play multiple positions. He can be all over the fucking field. There is no specific place for Micah. That's the beautiful thing about Micah. You can put him anywhere in the fucking field. It's going to be phenomenal.
Hey, let's try not to make this a non-monetized show, man. You're killing me.
You're cursing a lot today.
Oh, my bad.
You got the F word, flowing.
My bad. My bad. And sometimes it happens. I apologize. But no, I definitely think, I understand where you're coming from with the first and third, because nobody's going to give up a second. I just look at the versatility of him and the way he can play at extremely high level at different spots all over the field. To me, those type of guys should get a second. But I understand what you're saying.
The difference is that it's a rental.
Yeah, it's the thing, because you look at all the trades that happened last year. Look at what the Jets got for Devontae Adams. They got next to nothing for it. Look at all the big players that were traded throughout the season last year. They were all basically rentals, and they got next to nothing for them during the deadline, versus if they would have traded them in the offseason, they would have got a lot more because it was the offseason. That's the thing with Parsons. If the Cowboys were trading him now, they could probably get 5 picks for him. But you wait till the deadline to trade him, you're probably getting a first, a third, and like a future third or a future fourth. You're not going to get nearly what you would get for him now during the season.
Mm.
And I think and then the other part about that is that he's still going to go to free agency.
Yeah, he will.
Exactly.
So you could get him back. But so that's why I'm saying definitely get the first. He's absolutely worth the first round pick. And then, like it says, if everything was to go right, that would be a very, very late round pick. You're looking at getting it in 29, 30, 31, or 32. That's where that first round pick's going to be. But that's where I'm saying instead of trying to get a third round pick, go for 2/4 or 3/5 and a 6th and stuff like that. Acquire numbers that you want the numbers of.
Well, I understand what you're saying.
Because
Yeah.
what you can do later, then Jay, let's just say the Cowboys trade Parsons for a first, and we'll say 3 fifth-round picks. You could package those 5th-round picks in another draft to get a 3rd or a 2nd round.
No, of course.
Yeah.
That's why you want to acquire late-round picks, because then you package those late-round picks to get a better pick.
Yeah, well, I
Yeah,
mean,
I
that's
understand
where
what
the
you're
numbers
saying.
come in. It's just having more picks because then, you package them together. Like, I mean, you watch guys do it all the time. It'd be tough to give up a first rounder for a guy that you don't feel confident you could sign again. I mean, because again, as valuable as one of those guys are, is he going to send you over the top? I mean, maybe, but I don't know. It's tough to give up a first rounder for a guy that you may only have for 8 weeks.
So you want to think that you're going to be able to get him.
Exactly.
And the truth of the matter is that it wouldn't be for 8 weeks. It would be for like 14 weeks because you're expecting to go all the way.
Yeah.
Like
well, no, of course, but at the minimum, it's 8.
Yeah.
Is what I'm saying, right? So because you'd have the last 7 games, and then of course the first game in case you get in there and are a
right.
So, but yeah, I mean, it would be tough to give up a first rounder if you don't feel confident you could keep it.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I mean, if you give up the first, let's say you give a first and you got a first and a couple of fifths or a couple of fourths, whatever, and then you package a fourth and fifths and went to a really crappy team that is looking to fill a lot of spots or try to fill a lot of spots, and then maybe you could get some higher picks off of those.
I mean, a bad team isn't going to do it. There's no incentive for a bad team to do it.
No, I mean, I guess if a bad team is looking to acquire picks, or a team that's cap strapped that's looking to acquire picks and get rid of some of what they have. I'm sure there's a scenario somewhere in there where you can take those fourths and fifths like you're talking about and package it into something meaningful.
Jay, there's only one scenario because you already have the guy.
Yeah.
So it's not like we're thinking of some random team. We're thinking of your team because
no, I'm not saying that. I'm saying we could. There's a way we could take those fourths and fifths, like you said, and package them for thirds and seconds or whatever.
Yeah,
that's
correct.
what I'm saying.
Correct.
That's like you said.
You are acquiring assets.
Exactly.
That's what you're doing. You're acquiring assets, multiple assets for the one player who that you aren't, or like you could try to re-sign him. That's the good thing about that is that he's going to wind up going to free agency. However, that the team that you're trading into will have the opportunity to re-sign him first, obviously,
right?
Because he's in-house with them. But ultimately, that you could wind up, like I said, you could wind up getting him back.
The one way I could see it is if you gave away, say you were one of those teams that's going to push you over the top, right? You give up a first rounder and, a third and some fifths, right? You don't sign him and you do the restricted free agents or restricted tag on it so that if somebody does pick him up, you get 2 first rounders in return.
Yeah.
That would make the most sense to me. If you were like, okay, we can get this rental and then we can get our return on investment here by giving him that restricted tag.
Yeah.
Because someone will try and give him money. right?
Yeah.
So then in that scenario, you get 2 firsts, and so I mean, then you could get those picks back and still have them as a rental. But
Exactly.
So then my other thought is like, how is this going to affect now Trey Hendrickson and the Bengals contract situation?
I mean, they're just
You
not
know
going to
what I
pay
mean?
anybody, which is why Shamar Stewart went back to college right now. They're just not going to pay anybody.
yeah, I mean, really,
Like they're literally not paying anybody on defense because they pretty much used 80% of their cap on 3 guys on offense. So it's just like, yeah, well, now we have to figure out how to divvy out the rest of our salary to the other remaining 50 guys on this roster. So we're just not paying anybody.
Or you go to Higgins and Chase and be like, because you got so much money, we got to have you guys play double duty because we can't afford nobody.
yeah. I mean, it's not even that they couldn't sign these guys; they're just not.
No.
Yeah.
Trey Hendrickson should have been taken care of long before it got to this point. Like he should have been taken care of before Higgins got the money. He should have been taken care of before Chase got the money because he is like the only player on that defense that is worth a damn because he's the only player on the defense that does anything. So
Well,
now
he's the
not
only
only
player on the defense; the rest of them are just bodies.
yeah, now like you're in a situation where you not only are about to lose Trey Hendrickson, but you brought in a first round pick in Shamar Stewart who was supposed to, be that guy to pair with Hendrickson or ultimately possibly take over for him if Hendrickson leaves. And since you didn't sign him, he's hanging out in college right now, working out and probably going back to school because you don't want to pay him.
Yeah, it's crazy to think that they're willing to just throw away that first round pick.
And the funny thing is,
because it's not like they get it back.
No,
Right? Like if your guy goes back to school because you can't figure your stuff out, it would be the same as if you missed your draft slot on draft day, right? You just lose that pick. And so it's interesting that they're not signing the rookie. Like that doesn't make any sense at all.
And it just goes to show you the power of the NIL though too. Like 5-6 years ago, that wouldn't have been a thing. Like every first round pick would have been signing right away. But now, like you have Stewart, he's probably going to make just as much, if not even maybe more, in NIL money than what he would have gotten in that first year of his rookie deal if he goes back for a year.
Yeah, but you can't tell me that he wouldn't keep some of those endorsements anyway, right? So I mean, like. He would just be adding on to.
But if anything, he's going to add on to that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I would still take that rookie deal. Plus, it gets you into that rookie deal a year younger, right? Mm-hmm. You're betting on yourself to be great to get to that next contract that you really get paid on. Now, you're obviously not going to play for the Bengals, once you get through that rookie deal.
What's really going to be funny is if he ends up going back to college this upcoming season, has like a better year than what he had last year, goes from being like a mid first round pick to like a top 10, maybe even top 5 pick next year, and just comes out and gets like defensive rookie of the year next year, and then you have the Bengals like, yeah, we effed up on that one.
Yeah, what would be funny is if they draft him again just to stick it to him a little bit.
If the Bengals are bad enough, they might have a shot to get him again.
Just when you thought it didn't end, Stewart, we're back.
Hey, if the Bengals are bad enough, they might have a shot to get him again. And by that point, you're not going to have to worry about Hendrickson because he'll be on the open market somewhere else. So all that money can go to Stewart at that point.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a rookie deal. Like they have the money to pay a rookie.
Yeah.
I mean,
because that money doesn't
count again. That so much of their money is tied up in 3 dudes, but they don't pay anybody on the defense. So, I mean, they do still have some money.
And like the thing with like rookie deals too in the NFL, like when it comes to the salary cap, every team has like a set amount of money that is set aside to sign their rookies. So even if they did like pay Trey Hendrickson, every team still has like X amount of dollars that they have set aside to sign these rookies. So they would still have enough money to get Stewart.
Well, no, you still have to fall under the cap. Like
no, I know, but I'm just saying like
all their rookies.
Yeah, like every team I think has like I think they said it was like $23 million is what they have set aside to sign their rookie. So then once there's like you have your cap space, but then there's $23 million off of that cap that automatically gets pushed aside to the rookies.
Well, no, but those rookie contracts still have to fold into your cap. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like that's just an extra 20 mil floating around.
No, I know that, but I'm just
There-
saying, like the
there's
big.
I'm
definitely
saying like
times
take 23 million out of the existing cap and earmark that for the rookies.
Yes.
Correct.
So it's still part of
Unless
the
they
cap.
pay people, and then there's been
Yeah.
been rookies that didn't ultimately get signed because they ran out of money.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like it does happen, and the
Do they
Bengals
ever
seem
run out
like
of
an
money for all these
organization
damn
that
money
could
they're paying
do
these players?
stuff like that.
Yeah.
What's happening, Bobby?
But and I gotta imagine with all these every year somebody's getting paid more than a non-quarterback, right? So how much longer can this system go on before they got to raise that cap threshold? Because not everybody can just make that kind of money.
It goes up an average of 7% a year. So it goes up every year.
And does that 7%
outside-
capture
Outside
all
of
of
the
that?
COVID year. The COVID year was the only one that it dropped because, attendance was down, TV ratings were down, all that. But no, every other year, if you look at the last like 30 years of the NFL, it's a 5 to 7% increase, like clockwork.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder how long it would be then, based on those increases, before we hit the first $100 million a year contract.
It's not gonna be much
I
longer.
mean, it's coming.
Because we're already at what 50? We're already halfway there with the quarterbacks, right?
60 million,
Yeah,
I think.
you got
60 million.
you got Dak at 60.
Yeah.
So I mean,
That's
it's
crazy.
coming.
That is crazy.
Yeah, not until I think that you won't see that all the way up until until the cap gets well over 300 million.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like maybe at 350 you would start to get that, because you're thinking about it as $100 million. That's like a third.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And to have a quarterback as a third of the team is still too much. You need to get it closer to 25%.
Right.
I think that the most that you'll see is like 28%. Like even a Dak with the 60 million, that's still, he's in that still like that 23%.
Yeah.
So to get it at, like, if it went up to 400 million, the cap was 400 million, then I could understand that.
So this year, the cap is going to be 279 million.
Right.
26 is 295. 27 is 311. So I mean, it's moving right along. That means by 2030, you're probably in that 350 range.
Yeah.
So
Wow, that's incredible.
And like I know this is
your first $100 million contract is probably what, 2032, 2035, somewhere in there.
I know this is like just a coincidence, but like all these quarterbacks keep asking for like 50, 60 million dollars a year or whatever.
Sure.
There's only been one team in NFL history that has won the Super Bowl when their quarterback makes more than 15% of the team salary. So as a quarterback, you should be looking at that like, do I really want all this money knowing that only one team has ever won the Super Bowl when the quarterback is making more than 15% of the salary?
So, I mean, you're betting on yourself, right? As a quarterback, you have a tendency to be able to have a longer career. So, you make it through your rookie deal. If you don't win a ring there, you go get your cash, right? Because you think you're going to get through it again. And then you start doing the Tom Brady thing where you don't necessarily have to be the most expensive guy out there. And you start putting a team around you so you can win a ring, right? Mm-hmm. But one of those contracts, if you think you're going to make it through, I mean, you want to get that money, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, really, the largest contract that Brady ever made was down in Tampa.
His first big contract with the Patriots, he was the most expensive quarterback ever. But he only did that one time, right? Every other contract he signed, it was at a, quote unquote discount, to keep talent around it because he wanted to win, which I totally get, right? You get through your rookie deal, you get your payday, and then you go back to focusing on rings. Obviously, if you can get paid like Mahomes, right? Mahomes is the only one that got a big payday and still won in recent history. But, you can only do that as a quarterback, though. Other
Right.
positions, you just don't have the shelf life.
Yeah, it's almost like, do you really have to have the best quarterback, the highest paid quarterback, or can you get a mid-level guy, a game manager type quarterback, if I'm a GM, and just have really good pieces around him that makes him look better than probably what he really is, and then I don't have to pay quite as much, right? Or I
Well,
can keep my
you
cap
need-
relatively healthy.
That's just the construction of a team in two different
Yeah.
ways, right? You either want your elite guy, right? Because there's only ever 3 or 4 of them in the league at any given time.
Right.
Or you are building the team and you're getting a quarterback that just isn't going to mess it up.
Right.
Like those are the two ways that you can successfully win a ring.
Yeah. It seems like I almost want to go the secondary route for that. But I understand. Because if you put all the eggs in that one basket, where you need more than just a game manager to get that team to a Super Bowl, and that one guy goes down, well, then everything goes with him. But if you have a really good team that just needs a game manager, well, then that gives you some flexibility to find a game manager to continue that season.
So the thinking is sometimes the elite guy can be the difference to get you over the hump and you can get the ring. The game manager needs everybody to be almost perfect all year or have like one of the best defenses to ever step on the field.
Right? Like Trent Dilfer, Brad Johnson when they won their Super Bowls in the early 2000s.
That's exactly right.
They did not win the Super Bowl because of them, and they did not win the Super Bowl because of the offense. It's because the Ravens.
But they also didn't lose it because of them.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like they were game managers. Like if you needed 7 yards on 3rd and 8, they would throw the ball 8 yards, get the first down, and keep chains moving, and then they let the defense just go to work and tee off on people and force turnovers.
But the other element is the money element, right? When you have that elite quarterback, your stadium fills up because it's exciting. So, it always makes me think of the Brett Favre effect, right? Like you never knew which version of Favre was going to step on the field. He might throw for 5 touchdowns. He might throw for 5 picks. You really don't know, but he's going to be electric to watch the whole time, right? Or the other end of it, you're going to have that Trent Dilfer, team that you're just like, okay, this is, elite defense, kind of boring, but they're consistent, right? So, I mean, it's just two different schools of thought.
Yep. And the thing too with like what you just said about Brett Favre, like our generation's version of Brett Favre is Jameis Winston. Obviously, Jameis Winston doesn't win, but when Jameis Winston starts,
it's kind of a big difference, I think.
Well, no, I'm just saying, like when Jameis Winston starts, there's going to be games where he has 4 or 5 touchdowns, but there's also going to be games where he comes out and has 4 or 5.
And I disagree with that. I actually think that the version of Brett Favre in this football is Josh Allen.
Yes.
That Josh Allen makes poor mistakes sometimes and big games. And that's what Favre was known for. Now, obviously, Favre did win a ring.
Yes.
And you could almost argue that was more attributed to the defense.
Yeah. Well, and he could have won had he not made poor decisions. He probably could have won 2 other ones. He probably could have won 1 more in Green Bay, and he certainly could have won 1 with the Vikings.
Right. And because you could go back to the 4th and 26 against the Eagles, which was an Eagles play. However, when it went into overtime, he did the long ball toss-up that got intercepted, and then we came back and won the game. We went down the field and won the game. And that's like that Packers team could have gone further because they had the defense to be able to do it. And, it was, I said, it was, again, a stupid mistake, very similar, to what he did with the Vikings.
Exactly.
Just throw it up there. And, who else you could almost say this? And, you may have a disagreement. Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
Russell Wilson was a good quarterback. He wasn't a great quarterback. I felt that the defense won that first Super Bowl. And when he tried to win the second Super Bowl, he blew it.
Yeah. Well, and it was, similar in that way. Like he could come out and be special. He was electric to watch, right? But you knew that there was a bad decision looming in there somewhere. You're just like, oh, when is it going to come? right? He's going to make a bunch of spectacular plays, but there's one play in that bag that's going to, it's Krampus. You're just like, oh, it's going to destroy some stuff.
Yeah, that's and that's the thing. Even like with Dak, Dak is a great regular season quarterback. You throw that guy into the playoffs, and I'm trying not to cuss. You throw that guy into the playoffs, and it's like watching a completely different quarterback. Like this is the guy I watched all
Actually,
season.
and I don't even agree with the fact that he's a good regular season. He is a very good when there's no pressure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Quarterback. Every time there's pressure, like you could talk about how his record is against the Eagles. But when you look at the losses that he has against the Eagles, every one of those games meant something big. Like when we lost, when you guys lost 17-9, like you guys killed us earlier in the season, and then you guys lost 17-9, and that was the game that gave up. We had to win the next game against the Giants to win the NFC East, but ultimately it was that game that he lost. And he kind of blew it because he was, when the pressure is on, his mind doesn't react the same way than when there is no pressure there. That's why he gets a tremendous amount of yards when the game is so far out of hand, because he knows it's so far out of hand, and all of a sudden the pressure's off. So the only thing that he could do is possibly win. He can't lose the game any further.
Right.
So ultimately, he starts to ball out. And, there are games, like I said, especially against the Eagles, there has been definitely games where he has balled the hell out and he has put a whipping on us. I get it. But every time there is a very important game, he comes up small.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's
and that's the unfortunate for Dallas. Dallas has not had a good quarterback, and we've had good quarterbacks. We just never had great or elite quarterbacks, since the 90s. Honestly, I mean, when Quincy Carter got there, it was a long domino effect of BS with Drew Henson and all that stuff they tried to throw in there, and God forbid they did it.
But there you go. Here you go. And Troy Aikman, I don't think was an elite quarterback.
Not at all.
He was a good quarterback, but when pressure was on, he could kill it.
Yep.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, he was
able to handle pressure and win games. That so it's like, and of course he had the pieces around him. Obviously, he had, the truth of the matter is that the fourth person of that threesome. They had the threesome, but they had Jay Novacek, and he was the unsung hero of all of those Super Bowls. Unsung hero of all of those Super Bowls. And ultimately it was him that really bailed out Aikman all the time, but Aikman knew that as well and was able to utilize that in times where he's like, okay, where's my guy here? That's the same reason why that's it. Mahomes is doing it. Now, Mahomes has a little bit more foot speed. He's able to, he won that game against the Eagles a couple of years back in the Super Bowl after, hobbling in, to the locker room. I don't care what they gave him and what they did. I don't care what all happened, that they cut it off and gave him a brand new ankle. It don't matter. He came out and did it afterwards and won that game single-handedly, really.
Yeah, so, he willed that win.
And that's okay. I get it. 100%. I get it. Like you could say that. And that's some of the differences that he has against Troy Aikman.
Right.
If you go back further, Joe Montana. It was funny. I was talking about it the other day. Somebody asked me, what is the most incredible sports feat I have ever witnessed? Mm-hmm. And that goes back to the 1989 season when I was in the stadium on the 600 level at the Vet watching Joe Montana, who was getting his ass kicked the entire game with like 7 minutes left in the game, go on a tear for 4 touchdowns in 5 minutes and 24 seconds. All right at me. Like,
nice.
literally, it was right at, like, it's like, I'm in the 600 level, so I wasn't the Philly sports guy at the time. But I was at that game, and I watched Joe Montana do that 4 times in a row against the gangrene defense. Now, that's with Jerome Brown. That's with Reggie White. That's with Clyde Simmons. I think Golick was on that team. You had, there was just Eric Allen was on that team. Those are the things like that is, and it's amazing. I've watched a lot of moments in real time on a football field for the Eagles, and that's the one that I have to say stands out to me the most in terms of. Now, I could say the one specific play. I witnessed the one play where he jumped backwards, when we were all in all of that. But that's just really one play where his athleticism is amazing.
Right.
So,
yeah.
Excuse me 1 second, guys. I got to take this quick call.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. And that's a downside to the Cowboys. We got a quarterback like Pat was saying, he's not wrong. That's not good under pressure. And then you got an owner that doesn't want to bring in the right coaches to lead this team because he doesn't have a good GM that can qualify that. And
it's not that you don't have the right. It's not that you don't have the right GM. It's the fact that none of these coaches want to work under Jerry Jones because they don't like the way he runs the organization.
Right.
Yeah, if he just stuck to the GM end of it and didn't have to be the face of everything all the time, I think it would probably be viewed a little bit different. But
it's just, when you got an owner like Jerry, though, it limits the pool of candidates that you can actually bring in here based on just what that guy said. That you have to. They have to be able to work with Jerry, and a lot of people don't want to work with the way Jerry works, and so that limits your pool.
Well, Jerry doesn't want to hire a guy that's going to go against him anyway.
Yeah, because outside of the McCarthy hire that he just had, most of the Cowboys' recent hires have been basically cast-offs from the coach that was there that got fired. Jason Garrett was the offensive coordinator for whoever was the coach before him. They just moved him up and promoted him for 9 years. You got Brian Schottenheimer, who was the offensive coordinator last year, I believe, just promoted him up. And then even like after that, you had so many assistants that once Jerry Jones fired the head coach, it's like, defensive coordinator will promote you, offensive coordinator will promote you, you'll get promoted. Like it's always, I have to stay within my organization because I know I'm not going to be able to go on the outside and bring anybody else in. McCarthy was a different story because he still wanted to be a head coach. And realistically, the only job opening at the time was the Cowboys' job. So he's like, yeah, I'll just come here because this is all that's open right now, and they're willing to pay me a crap ton of money for the next 4 years. So, hey, I'll sign here.
Yep.
He did go off for Parcells, which I thought was a bit of a reach for him. I didn't think he would go off for
it's like after that it's after the Parcells, all the Cowboys coaches that at that point were like either assistants
or just coming up and wrong,
just pulling it out of that previous head coach's coaching tree because they didn't want to go on the outside.
Well, and they also were ultimately yes men. Like he knew that none of them were really going to go against him because the couple of guys that did, he's like, oh, yeah, okay, you guys are fired. We don't care that you're winning. You got to get out of here because I want you to do other stuff. So
yeah, the day he did that to Jimmy, I was upset. When Jimmy Johnson left, I was really upset about that. I'm like, how do you fire that guy? What are you thinking? But Jerry don't care.
He was thinking that he was just going to be able to run it back with any coach.
And he was able to do it with Barry. It wasn't he wasn't completely wrong with that, but Barry had all the old players. It wasn't like Barry had to do anything different. He just said, rinse, recycle, repeat everything Jimmy did, and we're going to ride this out one more year.
Yeah, he was gift wrapped a ring, but what I mean is beyond that team, he thought he was going to be able to just continue to catch lightning in a bottle. He's the GM. He's smarter than everybody, right? So
when really it was that Herschel Walker trade that really turned it around for the boys in terms of roster construction and things like that. That Herschel Walker trade was huge.
Yeah, but that's what I mean, is he thinks he's the smartest guy in the room all the time.
Yeah, and he ain't. He's not. He just had really smart people around him to where he was able to think that, right?
Well,
So
and-
at least a little while.
And the other thing about this is that at the time when he hired Jimmy Johnson actually had some control in the draft room. So ultimately, that was a Jimmy Johnson trade, not
Oh, for sure.
a trade from him. And you know what else is kind of interesting, and you're starting to see some of it now after the drafts and stuff like that, but you're finding out that feelings, how people feel about a team and a franchise, is starting to matter on how they draft. The Eagles, for instance, have been drafting a lot of people who are great players who were Eagles fans growing up.
Oh yeah.
And in the process of this now, this is part of the reason why I think that you are not seeing a bunch of people just run to Dallas. It used to be that Dallas was America's team because everybody wanted to go play for them. Along with the fact that they were shown a lot on television. So, and so that goes all the way back to the 70s when you had, literally a Navy officer running the team.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I understand that. That's part of the reason why they were called America's team. So Staubach was a good portion of that. Because
for sure.
you almost had to friggin' salute him, and that was part of that.
Right.
Now you don't see the guys racing to get to Dallas anymore. Dallas doesn't have the appeal and the allure that they used to have. And a lot of that goes with, you are really tough to see when they're doing these interviews now and they say, I always hated Dallas, and how does Dallas in sound conscience draft somebody who, when they interviewed them, said, I've always hated the Cowboys?
Yeah.
But sometimes they got to do that now. And like I said, that's why
Right.
the Eagles, even though you got C.J. Gardner-Johnson crying out in there like, oh, wah. The truth of the matter is that the Eagles like a certain way, things done a very specific way, and they're very successful at it. So you don't show up late for practices. You don't, when there is that little bit of issue, they cut the cancer out. They hire slow and fire fast because they want to get rid of a problem before it becomes too big of a problem. And that is called culture. That is called culture. So ultimately, that's why you see a lot of these 1 year. All right, we'll do the 1 year guys. We'll show him up and sign him after week 2 when they get these cuts, because these guys are like, yes, we want to produce. We are given the opportunity. This is also how Bill Belichick won 6 Super Bowls. He was able to do similar situations because, hey, they know they're winners. I want you to show up on time. I want you to do your job, and I'm going to stay off of your ass if you do that. You show that you're giving me 100% on the field. Doesn't always have to be a practice. You just make sure you show up at practice and that you do everything you're supposed to do at practice, add the story, and then you show me in the game on the reason why I brought you here. And that's and when he had the veterans, that was the mantra, and that became the culture. He was a pain in the ass coach otherwise. He was an asshole otherwise. If you were in the doghouse, you didn't get out.
Right.
But that was the thing. People will put up a lot when it's W's and rings.
Correct.
Yeah.
As soon as you're not winning, and then all of a sudden people start falling off that wagon. But when you're consistently winning, people are like, hey, you know what? I think you're a jerk, but you know how to win.
So we're going to ride that jerk wave. I wouldn't mind if he's a jerk, as long as you're putting up W's.
If it gets you rings, yeah, you get a lot of latitude.
Oh no,
I mean,
absolutely, absolutely.
You got to think about this in a real sense. There have only been 3 teams that have been to 3 Super Bowls since Super Bowl 52.
Mhm.
The Patriots, the Chiefs, and the Eagles. 2. Everybody else has been like a one and done, or they get in, they get out, and that's it and such. It's and that's why it amazes me that not more people want to go to the Chiefs. I'm surprised at that, actually. You would think that they would do more, but I think that I think egos get in the way of Patrick Mahomes.
Well, and I also think that because they have such a sound core, I think some people are like, look, I want to play, right? Like, I don't want to ride the bench for a team that gets a ring. Like, that's not a ring you want to wear, right? Because you're just like, oh yeah, I mean, I was on a Super Bowl team. Oh, cool. What was your part? I kept this part of the bench warm.
That's why the greatest question that I would ever ask Drew Bledsoe is, do you ever wear your ring?
Yeah.
I mean, probably not, right?
I don't know that I would, but I probably would, but there again, it's like it's not a real thing. It's almost like yeah, that sucked.
Yeah.
But
yeah, well, especially in that scenario where you were the starter and you lose your job and like if you were just a career backup, yeah, maybe you do wear it, right? Pickett probably wears his ring, but yeah, a guy like Bledsoe, probably not.
So,
Yeah.
but interestingly enough, I'd be willing to bet that Pickett does wear his ring.
No, that's what I'm saying.
For a couple of reasons. One, you want to show the team that that at least what it took to get there.
Yes.
You were part of a team that got over all those humps and won a Super Bowl. And now I want to share it with you. So there is something to be said for that in a certain aspect, even though he was the backup.
Yeah. No, and that's why I say it's different because Pickett likely is just going to be a backup, right? Realistically.
Right.
Bledsoe was the leader of that team before losing his role, right? And so even though you win it as a backup in both scenarios, one of them feels a lot different.
Yeah.
So, anyways,
there are some other contracts that were signed, though. Sauce Gardner, most expensive corner,
Yeah.
130 or
He
120
got that money.
60 million guaranteed, averaging 30 million a year. And
Damn.
then also Garrett Wilson, 130 mil, 90 mil guaranteed. So some big money out there for the Jets.
Yeah.
I pull up the Duval dives. No, you're missing my point. You're right. There is a big distinction between Jalen Hurts and Pickett in that. Like, there's a big distinction in that. However, what I'm saying is that Pickett was part of the team. He did go through the trials and the tribulations that team encountered during the year. They got over being 2-2 at week 4, having the early bye, coming out of that bye, and the defense literally winning that game against Cleveland, and then going on the run, and then winning in the playoffs, and then playing your best football at the end of January and the beginning of February. So that's what I'm saying, that because he was a part of that team and he did the things that he needed to do to help his team succeed. He was on the field for a little bit of that time at the end of the season. He broke his ribs. You know what I mean? So it was like, that's how we learned about how Tanner McKee was able to be the guy, and we were able to move him along so that he could possibly be a starting quarterback. And I believe he will be the first starter in Cleveland. I think that he will start game 1 in Cleveland. I don't know that he'll stay for very long, and I think that having the ring gives you just that much respect. You still got to prove it on the field, but you get that much respect because you were part of the team that did it.
So you think Flacco is the odd man out, obviously, in Cleveland then? And then they'll roll with Dylan, Shedeur, and Pickett?
I think Flacco gets moved. I think Flacco gets DFA'd and he goes to another team.
Yeah, and Trav, we weren't saying that they didn't earn the ring being on the roster, right? But like if you're Bledsoe and you're leading the charge and then you aren't the one that wins the ring, right? It feels different. So it's not that you weren't part of the team or anything like that. It's just that you'll feel like you didn't earn that one. Right? Like you weren't the one that went out there and earned it. Your team did, and you're happy with your team. You're not like selling the ring or anything like that.
You put it up in a curio cabinet and letting it sit there, and people, it's a conversation piece.
That's exactly it. Instead of, when you're interviewed, you're wearing the thing, right? There's a different feel there. Now, when it comes to Pickett, obviously that's different. It helps you show your new team, like Pags was saying, that, hey, I've been part of a winning culture. We've seen how this works. I can help bring this to this team. It adds legitimacy to what you're talking about. Bledsoe didn't need that, right? Everybody knew Bledsoe could play.
Yeah.
But the one ring that he got isn't where he feels like he won it, right? And so that's where, you probably don't wear that one on an interview that you otherwise would have had you been the starter when it came to that game. So that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that he didn't earn it or his team didn't earn it or he wasn't part of the championship program. That's not what I'm saying at all. It's something in your own mind that will keep you from putting that ring on.
Yeah.
And on the backside of that, if he goes into Cleveland saying, hey, I just won a ring and blah, 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 well, then he has no credence whatsoever.
Exactly.
Like this is a line there's certain lines that's drawn in the sand. You were part of a winning culture. You are trying to share that winning culture to your new team. Or you go in there and say, hey, I just won a Super Bowl and blah, blah, blah. Like you guys know pretty well. If you're the Duval Dive, you know very well. You brought in Nick Foles. Yeah. And Nick Foles tried to bring in the winning culture there. Now, unfortunately, he got hurt. And then when he came back, he didn't play very well. And it was, the crowd kind of got on him. Minshew was a little bit on the hot side. And, a lot more excitement comes from Minshew rather than Nick Foles. And ultimately, Nick Foles failed in his chance to do that. However, he was amazing in Philadelphia. You know what I mean? But that's exactly it. He did not pan out there at all. But in Philadelphia, he literally won the Super Bowl, was the Super Bowl MVP against arguably the best quarterback of all time, and most likely one of the best Super Bowls of all time.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next year, he starts the season, gets benched for Wentz, comes back out when Wentz breaks his back, and almost, if Alshon Jeffrey catches the ball, you could say that we could have been back in the Super Bowl again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, he was having a fantastic postseason again.
Right.
No, I mean, like if there was a picture of like clutch, that was Foles, right? Oh, you need him for the season? That's probably not going to work out. You need him to win basically he's the opposite of Dak, right? As soon as
the other thing is he was not suited for the offense. Like he was a very good option quarterback. And you guys didn't do the option in Jacksonville, and he did not pick up that offense well, and he failed at it. So I understand exactly why they feel the certain way about Nick Foles in Jacksonville. They paid him a lot of money, and he did not produce at all.
Yeah.
So
What a child.
No, I mean that's one of those, and you see teams do it all the time, where they have an offensive coordinator and they're like, "Look, I'm going to run my system no matter what." And sometimes your quarterback just isn't that dude for that system. And if you're a good coach, you should be able to tailor the system to fit the guy that has the skill sets that's on your roster. And you see a lot of coaches that don't do that. They're like, look, I'm going to run what I run and you're going to have to learn it. And it's like, well, sometimes your system just isn't going to work for the guy that you have in the building.
Take Kevin O'Connell 2 years ago when he lost Kirk Cousins.
Yep.
When they brought Josh Dobbs in, he knew that the system that he had tailored for Kirk Cousins was not going to fit Josh Dobbs. So he basically adjusted that offense mid-season on the fly to benefit Josh Dobbs' strengths. Granted, Dobbs only started 5 games. Then they went back to Nick Mullins. But that was a prime example of your coach having a scheme put in place for Cousins and Mullins. But when Dobbs came in, he's like, Dobbs can't run this scheme. We have to go with this scheme because this is what he's good at.
Yeah, that's called coaching.
Yeah.
You're supposed to be able to do that. If you're one of the highest paid coaches in the world, I feel like you should be able to, coach.
Yeah.
Adjust, make adjustments. Yeah.
There's not too many coaches that will do that, though. Like you said, like all these coaches, like, I have this offensive scheme in mind. I don't care who's running it. I don't care if Lamar Jackson's here or Patrick Mahomes here or Drew Brees. Like, this is the scheme we're running. We're going to keep it. We're not changing it. But, like every good coach, like you should be able to be like, okay, my starting quarterback now can't run the court system that the quarterback had before we got hurt. Let's dumb it down a little bit just to change it just a little bit to make this quarterback succeed.
Yeah, it's one of the quotes that I like from Mike Tomlin. He's like, I don't understand why other coaches run from coaching.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I want to coach my guys. And it's like, yeah, you should want that, right? Like you, as a coach, you should be able to look at your personnel and sure, you have a plan. Like you have an idea of what it is you want to run. But if your personnel can't execute it at a high level, then you need a new plan, right? Mm-hmm. Because your personnel is who they are. It's not like you can just be, these guys suck at my plan. Get them all out of here. Like you don't have the ability to do that. So as a coach, you should be able to be like, okay, look, I can look at these guys' skill set and realize that the plan that I had for this season just ain't going to be a thing. And create a new plan that fits the skill set of the guys that are in your building. That's coaching.
Right.
They should all be able to do that. I don't know why you see, to Travis's point here, the Doug Peterson's like, hey, I don't care who's on my roster. I'm gonna run what I'm running. And it doesn't work. Like you need guys that can run whatever scheme you have. And if they can't, you better change your scheme to fit your guys.
Agreed.
I mean, it is adjustments.
Yeah. I mean, you have to. It's called coaching.
Yeah.
That's
something that Doc Rivers never learned was how to make adjustments.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we shouldn't even be having this conversation. We're talking about the most upper level coaches in their sports.
Oh, yeah.
You would think they should be able to coach.
Right.
I don't know. That being said, that does get us to the top of the hour. If you've been watching on YouTube, be sure to like and subscribe. Watching on Roku, stay tuned for the next hour. Otherwise, we are going to get out of here. Take it easy, everybody.
We're not on Roku, are we?
I forgot about it. I don't know. Wherever you're watching us, continue
Have
watching.
a good weekend.